Okay, one of your classmates is having an issue with the first lab filling out the table. Um, I've been having a hard time trying to explain in writing how to fix it. I was going to meet the student and still might if they still need the help after watching this video. But I thought might as well just make a video. That way, not only can I share it with a student that needs help, but I can share it with all the students so they can hopefully avoid making this mistake. So let's take a look at their discussion here. Excuse me, not their discussion, um, their lab document. Now, I will commend them. Before they turned in their lab, they actually shared the document with me so I could give them some feedback. And this is what I'm trying to show you now. All right, so this is their document, right? This is the Goldfish lab. Now, the instructions, I'm assuming maybe the student was in a rush and maybe they missed some of the instructions, or maybe I give too many instructions and, it just got lost because there was so many instructions, in which case, I'm sorry for that. But let's take a look right here, right? So when we're looking at the experiment procedure, this is explaining what you're going to need to do, right? You need to go to that website. You need to collect the data from the website, right? So you take a temperature, then you write that temperature down in the table, and then you count the number of breaths and you write that down in the table. Now I put a note right here in big and bold for a reason, because I wanted to make sure you guys read this. The goldfish will start at room temperature. Check the temperature on the website and in the table below, record the temperature. Ensure that you record it in the correct temperature range, because I knew this, I assumed this was going to confuse some people. So I wanted to make sure they were aware of this. Make sure that you record it in the correct temperature range. Note, you will not fill in the table from top to bottom when performing your experiment. Let's take a look here. So if you can see here, the temperature ranges start from 20, they start at the top, right? This makes sense. This is how you would do a table. You wouldn't do it chronologically, like, oh, first we did this temperature, then that temperature, right? When you would make a table doing a scientific experiment, you want your data um, to be numerically correct, right? So you want to have it in the correct order. So we have highest temperature to lowest temperature, right? So the highest temperature range is 26 to 31 degrees Celsius. This student put in 20 degrees Celsius, right? So 20 degrees Celsius, they had 49 breaths, right? But at 20 degrees Celsius, that student should have put it right here, because this is the temperature range, right? 20 degrees Celsius should be, they counted 49 degrees, right? So that should be here, right? 20 degrees Celsius should be written here. 49 degrees, or excuse me, 49 breaths should be written here. Then we move on to the next temperature range. It should be somewhere between 22 to 25 degrees Celsius. The student wrote 12 degrees Celsius and counted 43 breaths. Again, when they did the website and saw that it was 12 degrees Celsius, they should have put that under this temperature category, right? Because 11 to 17 degrees, 12 falls in between 11 and 17. So the 12 degrees Celsius should be written here. The 43 breaths should be written here. Once again, the next one down is 18 to 21 degrees Celsius. This student wrote 5 degrees Celsius with 26 breaths. Now, again, 5 degrees Celsius should be put in the correct box, which would be in this range, right? 10 or below. 5 degrees Celsius falls under 10 or below. So here they should say 5 degrees Celsius, and then they counted 26 breaths. All right, so on and so forth. So I don't need to go through this. You can see the problem that the student was having. So now because of that, their data is messed up, right? So because their fish data is, goes from 20 degrees to 12 degrees to 5 degrees to 25 degrees to 30, right? Meanwhile, the rest of the fish's data, all these go from, 26 degrees Celsius to 22 degrees, 18 degrees, 11 degrees, 10 or below, so on and so forth, right? So this data, the one that was provided to you and the student, is correct. It's in the correct order. This is out of order. Therefore, it threw off these averages, because when they did take these averages, they don't just take the data that was given to them, which is this, but they also use their data for the average. And that's pretty much it. And really quick, let me show you how this goes. even though I already did this in the weekly meeting, and I think there's already a video embedded in this lab that shows you how to do this. But really quickly, again, I focus on this. It says right here, you will not fill in the table from top to bottom when performing your experiment. So very quickly, and I'm probably go, let's just like look at 2 or 3, and then we'll move forward, right? So when you start this experiment, where'd it go? It disappeared. Oh, there we go. When you start your experiment, at least, right, we're starting around 20 degrees Celsius, right? So your first bit of data should be around 20 degrees Celsius, right? So if I were filling this table out, then my first bit of data would go right here, right? 20 degrees Celsius. I would start here. I would count the number of breaths, right? Oh, sorry for all these ads. I should get paid for this. You should get paid for watching it. Anyway, so then, you've got your temperature. Then you count the number of breaths. And again, we started at 20 degrees Celsius. We count the number of breaths at 20 degrees Celsius, and that is the information that should go here. This should be the first data that you collect from that website should go here. Then once you're done with that for 30 seconds, you go to the next page. Let's look. I'm going to call that, I don't know, let's call it 11 degrees Celsius, 12, whatever. So then we go to the table. The next set of data will go here, because that temperature falls in between 11 and 17 degrees Celsius. So I'll count the number of breaths per 30 seconds. And then when I'm done doing that, I will write that right here, because that is the next temperature, right? That is the next set of data. And then finally, let's go to the next one. Excuse me. The next one. So again, let's assume we're done with that temperature. So we go to the next one. To me, that looks to be about, 5 degrees Celsius. So again, we go to the table. Now we're going to fill in this part, right? So it's 5 degrees Celsius here. We count the number of breaths per 30 seconds. We put it here. Then we go on to the next one, and we see another Chick-fil-A ad. We go to the next one. All right. This to me looks to be about, 25 degrees Celsius. So now we go up to here. 25 degrees Celsius. That would fall under here. So now, again, you are going to the top of the table. So again, like it says right here, you will not fill in the table from top to bottom, right? And I know on a few occasions I've had students say that they wish the table was in chronological order, right? So you would start here, have it to where you would fill the table out in the order in which you collected the data. But that's just not how it works for science, right? We want the data to make sense. And it wouldn't make sense if your data went from 5 degrees, 18 degrees to 11 degrees to 10 degrees, and then jump up to 26 degrees and 22 degrees, right? So it's like this for a reason. I know it's a little bit of a pain, and I apologize, but that's just the way it has to be. And at college level, this is the kind of attention to detail you should be able to have, right? You should be able to notice these things. I know it's a little bit challenging. And it's also worth noting that student didn't lose that many points for this mistake. But they're just a really good student, and they're, concerned about fixing their mistake and doing things properly. So just like most things in this class, you need to have very close attention to detail. There's a lot of ways you can miss points, but usually it's a very small amount of points. So it's not going to be a game changer. Plus, I'll remind you, you can always make corrections to your mistakes. So I guess that's it. Hopefully that was nice and short and sweet. But if anybody has any questions, please let me know.